Hello and welcome to another edition of Starside Chat. My name is Aaron and with me as always is Zach. Zach, how's it going?
I have been fighting a bit of a cold.
Oh
so
no.
I don't know if my voice is going to hold out for this whole thing, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It's been a while though. It's been a while.
I am a little sleepy because Sunday was daylight savings time.
Oh,
so I think
right.
it's actually like 9:47 for me, to give you a little inside baseball of when we're recording this.
Well, we gained an hour though.
Oh, is it gaining an hour? I'm still super tired for some reason.
You should have gotten an extra hour of sleep, I think.
I did nothing but sleep over the weekend, I have to say. But
That's always
what about
nice.
you? How did you spend your weekend?
Well, I was playing a lot of Luigi's Mansion 3, which we'll talk about at some point. I made 2 videos that are up on our YouTube channel right now if you want to go check those out.
Already done.
Otherwise, I was keeping an eye on the Blizzcon news.
Yes, let's get into it. The news of the week. The big thing that happened over the weekend was BlizzCon, and they had 2 giant announcements.
So the first was Diablo 4, which I guess they sort of already teased. We already knew this was coming. Overwatch 2 was sort of the surprise announcement. I guess surprise is too strong a word as well, because like it had been leaked that Overwatch 2 was coming. But they officially announced both of them at BlizzCon.
I have a lot of questions about Overwatch 2, but do you have anything to say about Diablo 4 before I start asking questions?
I mean, I think Diablo 4 looks pretty cool. I'm not huge on that style of game, but I like it every once in a while. And like people love that franchise. So I linked like Game Informer posted a gameplay video of, I think it's I forget the name of the class, but
The Barbarian.
Yeah, the Barbarian. So you can go check that out if you want to see what that game plays like.
It does seem super fun to play with other people. Like it seems like a cool co-op game.
Yeah, well, and they didn't used to be on console either, which like I played Torchlight and Torchlight 2, and those were like Diablo-inspired games that were on console, was like their big sort of selling point, was like Diablo's not on console, but here's games like it that are on console. But now, of course, Diablo's on console, so... but yeah, Overwatch, I think, is the only thing at BlizzCon that was super interesting to me, because I don't really play any other Blizzard games.
How much about Overwatch lore are you familiar with?
Not super. I don't know a whole lot about the lore. I like playing the game. Like I will always come back for seasonal events and I'll play for like a couple weeks while those are active. And then I just kind of like get into it for a little while and then I bounce off of it for a while. So
Overwatch is the name of like basically the international team of heroes that are like going around the world saving people, right?
Yeah, so like an Avengers initiative, you might say.
Yes. But like in that cinematic trailer, Winston like jumps out of the thing and he's like, I'm gonna help everybody. And then that lady police officer is like, that monkey just talked. Like, do people not know who Winston is?
Yeah, so there was some event that happened where like Overwatch had basically broken up and dispersed, and I don't know what each of the characters had been doing since then, but like I don't think Mei was involved in the original Overwatch, which is why Winston like introduces Mei to Tracer. So I don't know which of the characters were originally part of Overwatch and which ones are like
Soldier 76 new. I know was like an original member.
Yeah, well, so I think there was like Soldier 76 and Reaper, weren't they like part of some team that...
Reaper's evil.
Well, yeah, they like broke up eventually like Reaper went evil. There's like this one game mode, it's like one of the cooperative modes that like started and you play as Reaper and McCree. I think it was McCree.
Is McCree good or bad?
McCree's a good guy.
Okay, good.
And then there was, what's her name? One of the healers, Moira. So you have those 3 characters, I think. Was there a 4th in there? I don't remember. But anyway, this was like Blacksite or something like that. That was like before Overwatch, I want to say. And then like Reaper kind of turns evil. He like goes rogue. That's when... I don't know the history of all this. You would not want to ask me about all of this, but...
What do you think about this Overwatch 2? Are you pro this? Are you anti?
I think it's amazing, to be honest. Like, so when I play Overwatch, I usually just play the arcade modes. I don't get super competitive with like the competitive mode or even just like quick play. I'm not like crazy competitive about it, but I think they have fun arcade modes, especially during seasonal events. And the ones that I like are like Dr. Junkenstein's Revenge and Retribution, which is the one I was trying to describe very poorly just a second ago. And then Uprising was the other one. And the story that they're going to have now seems a little more connected to maybe Uprising, because I feel like you're fighting those robots during that. But those are all cooperative events where they're sort of almost wave-based. So it's very clear to me that not just from my experience, but like fans of Overwatch want more of that type of content because those seasonal events always do so well for them. So it makes a lot of sense for them to make like co-op and like more story-driven stuff like a bigger part of the game. And I had heard a rumor, I don't know if it's true, but they like are somewhat limited by the tech of like their original Overwatch game where they can't add too much more of that stuff. So that's why they needed to make a second game.
A thing that blew my mind though, and I think I am understanding this correctly, is it's compatible with Overwatch 1.
Yeah, so that's the thing that really is everybody's kind of tripping over because it seems so crazy. But apparently, Overwatch 2 players will be playing in PvP against Overwatch 1 players.
So that means that Overwatch 2 has all the maps from Overwatch 1.
Yeah, so it has all the maps and all the characters. So you'll get, if you're going to just keep playing Overwatch 1 because you don't care about co-op or story stuff and you just want to play PvP, like you'll still get the maps and the characters and supposedly all the updates that go along with that. So you don't have to really worry about that. But there's Overwatch 2 basically is going to, there's like a little bit of remodeling of some of the characters. There's some like updated visuals. But it's supposed to be compatible. So it can't be too crazy a difference between 1 and 2. And then, yeah, they're just adding like a story mode and like hero missions that are supposed to be really replayable, like cooperative stuff.
I'm into this. It almost turns it into a little bit like a Destiny where it like basically strike missions you play over and over again.
Yeah,
but you're unlocking
what I thought,
like different abilities or like perks for every character, which seems crazy to me.
Yeah, that is going to get really interesting, I think. As you play, you'll like level up your characters and you'll be able to unlock additional skills. And like you'll have to watch, like I'll link a video, like Game Informer also has gameplay of one of the story missions. And I think they were talking about how they weren't sure if Blizzard wanted to sort of implement the extra abilities and like the level up process, if they wanted to implement that across like the hero missions and the story stuff. It's not going to be in the PvP whatsoever, so there's not going to be any difference. But one of the guys mentioned, and it's something that I thought about too, like almost as soon as I saw it in the trailer, was how kind of disappointing is it going to be when you get used to playing hero missions and you have these extra abilities that like, say Reinhardt has for his like ult move, which is like a slam that sort of goes out in front of him. When you level it up in the hero missions, and now it's like this AoE thing that goes all around him, and then you go back to playing regular PvP and you don't have that anymore, and you have to like adjust to like, okay, this cool stuff I had is gone.
Simultaneous release on Switch.
Is it really? I must have missed that part.
I believe that is true.
They did not have a release date, so I have no idea when this is coming.
Do you think this is like kind of slapped together to get out in front of everyone hating Blizzard right now? Just be like, hey, check this out. This is on the horizon.
No, just because this stuff was leaking before all of that happened. So I have the feeling that this was planned for a long time. Same with like the Diablo 4 stuff.
I will check this out probably. What do you think the price point is? Because didn't Overwatch launch at like $30 or something?
Yeah, I think it was like $30 or $40, which I can't expect Overwatch 2 is going to be more than that, just because it's like half a game. But yeah, I'll definitely play it just because I love Overwatch 1 so much. And I'm like super into the idea of story and co-op missions. So
I'm interested in full games for full price, Zach.
Are you?
So that's why I'm going to be purchasing Death Stranding when it comes out next week. Or actually this week.
This week, yeah, on Friday, which is crazy.
You know what is crazy about this? So I was at an Airbnb over the weekend, and because of that, I watched television that has commercials. And like on network television, I was seeing commercials for Death Stranding, like long commercials for it.
Really?
And that's something I was not expecting. And then earlier today, I watched something on Hulu, and I got more Death Stranding. I mean, I don't think it's targeted towards me necessarily. I think they're marketing this like crazy.
Yeah, and I think part of that is just because of, I mean, one, it's very marketable. It's got Norman Reedus in it, but also it's like very cinematic. So it looks kind of like an animated movie, and you're kind of like, what is this?
How are you feeling about this? Because the thing we have in the show notes is that it's been getting mixed reviews. It's very polarizing.
I think it'll be the same once it releases for everyone else as well. I've heard the term walking simulator a lot, which I guess makes sense, but it's kind of this type of game makes me glad that I don't actually have to review this for like
a Strand game,
because like how do you write in a review? I can see why people would like this, but it's not for me. And then like put a number score on it.
Yeah. Because
you're like being paid to give your opinion about something. So, but the thing is, like, you're going to see this wide disparity where some people are saying it's the best game of the year, it's like a game of the generation, it's a masterpiece, and then other people who are going to be like, it was like a lot of slow fetch quests and I found it boring and pretentious. Like, I don't know. So I kind of don't know what to make of it. And after reading the reviews, I'm even more confused. I'm even more confused about it and whether I actually want to play it or not.
Do you foresee, like, do you think there's a world in which this is like a top contender? Like at the Game Awards, is this going to be nominated for Game of the Year?
I can see it being nominated for sure. One, it's Kojima, so
yeah,
and Jeff Keighley is in it, so
that's a good point. Yeah, he pretty much he has final say on the Game Awards, so there's like no reason.
Is that wrong that it will get nominated because he's in it? He's like cooking the books a little bit, but
so you're definitely going to play it this weekend, right?
Probably. I've been so like back and forth after reading the reviews. I'm so confused, but
I haven't read any reviews, and I don't know, man. Like, I'm a person who is like was initially like I knew Kojima games were insane, but I recently, I guess it was like maybe last year, watched full playthroughs of Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear Solid 2, which were just like mind-blowing to me. And I don't know, man, I like watching things, and I feel like this game is going to be a lot of watching cutscenes. And that has me kind of excited because I just want to see the insane plots that it comes up with. It could be a movie, actually, and I would be fine with that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think I almost would rather it were a movie or even like a TV series. Like if this was just a TV series starring Norman Reedus and like created by Hideo Kojima and like directed by Guillermo del Toro or something like that, like wouldn't that be amazing? That
would be crazy.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think I'm with you that I kind of almost have to see the story play out, even if I just like watch it as a Let's Play or like somebody stream it. But
well, and I feel like, man, maybe, was it this game or was it another game where there's like, I read an article about the difficulty settings, and one of the settings is basically just like, I just want to play it. Like, I don't want it to be hard at all. And like,
I might play it on that, honestly.
Yeah,
if I play
I'm thinking about that too. Like, I don't know. I want to know what these BTs are and like what's going on with America. It just seems like such a crazy. It's definitely going to be in the zeitgeist as soon as it like goes live, and I want it to do well because I love Kojima as just like a creator. Yeah. And I want him to. It seems like Sony is putting a lot of money towards marketing this. Also, we should talk about this. It's coming out on personal computer next year.
Yeah, they made that announcement fairly recently, and that made me pause a second and go, wait, should I wait and get this on PC? But like by then, like all the talking about it will be done. I don't know. I probably will end up getting it on PS4. I don't have a PS4 Pro, so that is a negative, but I think Digital Foundry put out a video. I should watch that and see how it's running on base PS4. But yeah, it's weird to read the reviews because you see a lot of stuff like, well, when you're not bored, you'll be frustrated by Death Stranding, but man, what a unique and fascinating experience. And then it'll be like 10 out of 10. And you're like, wait, what? How did we get there? I don't know. You're right that one, Kojima is like, he has like this crazy mind to be able to come up with something like this. And like, I want to support it just based on the fact that like, you're not going to see something like this anywhere else.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to make this as like a Hollywood movie because it's too out there and like they're afraid to take chances on something like this. So this type of thing, even though you may want it only as a movie, could only exist as a video game, if that makes sense.
And I want to see, like, they have talked briefly about like, oh, there's going to be innovative multiplayer stuff. And they kind of showed that off where like, he was like peeing in that one gameplay video, and then they're like, well, maybe like a mushroom will appear here later. But only a select few people have been reviewing it, so maybe we haven't even seen the lengths to which the multiplayer is put into the game. Maybe like...
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of reviews out there, and I think that is one of the most interesting things about the reviews that I've read, is that like as you explore, you may come across an area where you need like a bridge or something to cross from here to there. And like, you'll find that somebody had like laid down a ladder and left it for other people. And so you can rate that community contribution from whoever left it there. So people will be getting likes on like something they built somewhere. And it sort of gives you a sense of like, even though you're kind of alone in this world, you also feel connected because you know there are like other people out there also contributing, which it kind of seems like the theme, right? Where you're building these connections between people. But I forget what all you can build. They showed like multiple things that you could build, and some of them seemed helpful. And one of the points was like, while you're always grateful to find that stuff, sometimes it would make it maybe easier than was intended for that particular part. So they weren't sure whether to call that a good or bad thing, but it's interesting.
We should do a full podcast on it after we've played. I am interested to the length of it, because definitely I can play it this weekend, but then during the week I'm probably going to be pretty tired during the nights, so I don't know when I'm going to finish it. It's possible you'll finish it before me, but once we both complete it, we should do like a big podcast on it.
Yeah, I'm down for that, because I think, like, we were talking about it before we started recording, but like Death Stranding is the only thing this week, and then next week there are 2 games dropping. There's Star Wars and Pokemon. So if we can like knock out Death Stranding this weekend and like first part of next week, then we should definitely record a podcast about it.
Let's get into Pokemon Sword and Shield. Do you think this is real?
I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is.
They say a Pokedex has been leaked for like all the new Pokemon, but like some of these look very fake to me. Like that second version of Grookey, that Thwacky, looks like somebody made that in Blender in like 30 minutes. That looks insanely bad.
I mean, you're not wrong. It does look like somebody just photoshopped that. Like, the head is the exact same as like Grookey, and then like the body looks like, I don't know, somebody just used like green paint, and they didn't even like shade it or anything.
It looks like it would be at home in like that show Reboot. Do you remember that show Reboot?
Oh yeah.
Like, that's the level of CG effects we're working with here. I mean, some of these look, like this Stonehenge guy looks real to me. What else looks real to me? All of the Score Bunny ones look very real. But like the third iteration of Sobble, this Inteleon, that also just looks like the art style doesn't look like Pokemon to me. It looks like something that someone just made in Blender in, again, like 30 minutes, you know?
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. Well, I mean, I don't know. I haven't read whether or not people are buying this, but it seems real. I want to say it's real. But yeah, I agree. Some of them look more like actual Pokemon than others.
Like Mr. Rhyme looks real to me.
One of them's just an apple. That's called Applin.
See, I don't know, man. Like, this is all cool, and some of this might very well be real.
Yeah. Well, I mean...
But here's something else. Look at this. I mean, that penguin is called Askew, but then 2 lines down, there's another version of Askew that looks completely different. What's that about?
What is that about? Is one male and one's female?
I don't know, man.
Who can say what's going on?
There's that Berserker, but the one to the left of that doesn't even have a name and looks like, what is that? It just looks like Meowth. They put like a beard on Meowth.
I mean, you're coming up with good point. One of them is like a teacup with eyeballs, and the one next to it is just a teacup with eyeballs on it.
Those look real to me. But look at go down to 3rd from the bottom, Runer Igus. That looks like something somebody drew in MS Paint. It doesn't even look 3D to me.
I mean, there's one of them in here that does not have a name. Looks like somebody drew it on a napkin and took a photo of it, the napkin.
I don't know, man. This Dubwool that is an evolution of Wooloo looks real to me. But conversely, I don't know, man. That Thwacky just does not seem like it's a real thing. If it is, that's insane to me.
Yeah, there's 2 versions of Applin. I don't know. I didn't read this article. Maybe they explain why some of these images are pretty terrible.
I don't know, man. I hope that this is not the case, because if Thwacky is real, also Thwacky is a bad name, but if Thwacky is real, that is a disgrace.
Yeah, I mean, people have been complaining about the designs of the Pokemon since this was announced, so
I feel that Galarian version of Coughing or whatever is a master stroke. The one where they have stovepipe hats. That looks great. And also Surfetched is amazing.
Oh yeah, Surfetched is awesome for sure.
And there was that dumb bird who shoots fish. Where is that?
What?
Cramorant. Yeah, it's like a stupid looking bird that can shoot a fish at you. That's also great.
Impidrim looks strange as well.
Yeah, that doesn't look real to me. Also, some of these appear to be drawn, and some of them are 3D, which is also, that's weird. Why aren't they all uniform? I don't know, man. I am highly suspicious of this.
I don't know if somebody, somehow got different versions of, these things as files and then just, built this table to leak or not, or because this does not seem official. You're definitely right about that. This is definitely not a press image that Game Freak is sending around to outlets for sure.
No, for sure. Anyway, I guess this will make more sense if you link the picture we're looking at. But
yeah, it'll be in the show notes. It'll definitely be in the show notes.
Should we talk about Destiny? Is it time to talk about Destiny again? Is the name of this feature?
Yeah, well, that was a name you came up with.
It's true.
Yeah, have you been playing much Shadowkeep at all?
I have not. I haven't had a lot of time just because school has been really ramping up and I have this job, and so I haven't gotten a chance to play. I played the first few story missions, and then I have really just completely dropped off, which is kind of crazy. I've been keeping track of Destiny news. I know that the tower is changing a little bit, which I think is super cool, and just other lore things. Yeah. But I have not really fully taken a dip in it yet. Have you?
It's not a great time for you. You've been real busy the last few months, which is partially why we've not done a podcast for a long time. But yeah, I played a bunch of it, and I'm realizing now why I tend to shift away from Destiny and have a hard time coming back is because they released the game in September, and I'm super into it, and then by October, so many other things start coming out that I want to play that I I shift away from Destiny to play other things. And a month or two later, the game has so many things added to it that I've missed out on that I almost feel like maybe now's not the best time to come back to it.
It's crazy because like it seems as though it's the game we've always wanted. It's just like there's so much of it and there's just so much other stuff to do.
Yeah, it's like every week there's something new that they're adding and something new is going on.
Which
definitely, if this is like the only game you play, like you could feel great about not missing out on other things because you're set as far as like having things to do. But like I started playing Link's Awakening and The Outer Worlds and Luigi's Mansion 3, and I haven't been back to Shadowkeep in like several weeks, I feel like. So it's rough, I'll say, to get back to it. But I will say I like it a lot. I think I put out a video about it. I want to say I did. So you can get like my full thoughts on it. I really enjoyed it when it came out, and I definitely would like to jump back into it. I'd like to play more of it because I know they did have a Halloween event going on. I don't know if that's still going on, but there was like a special like auto rifle you could get that came with that I kind of wanted to get, but I got too busy doing other things.
Yeah. They're gearing it towards the hardcore, which is what everyone wanted. But because of that, you have to like log in more than once a week to like gain benefits.
Yeah. It just gets hard to like keep up with, I think, which makes me wonder if it's like bad for like the common player, but
I'll be very interested to see if Bungie has a presence at E3 at all this year. Like, what is the roadmap forward? Is there going to be a Destiny 3 or like what is going to happen with it, you know?
I feel like they have to have a Destiny 3, but unclear as to when that might happen because like new consoles next year, like next holiday season. Are they just going to port Destiny 2 to the new consoles, or is that when
good question
Destiny 3 is going to come out and it's going to be like a brand new world?
I'll be very interested to see. That's
also, how do they make that transition from Destiny 2 to Destiny 3? Like, are they going to blow out our vault again and like we start over?
Man, I don't know. They're in a very weird position as far as like transitioning players to new games because they can't do that again. They can't be like, oh, guess what? All your stuff is destroyed again.
Oh, not again.
But I don't know. I mean,
would players be mad at them? You think they would?
I don't know. I mean,
do they want to rework all the supers again?
I would love that, actually.
Like, there are definitely elements that they need to, like, phase out. Like, I had talked about a little bit about how much of a bummer it is to have this, like, cool new content. Well, it's, like, recycled content, but it's, like, new to Destiny 2. And you're like, I want to get those cool moon-themed weapons. And then you start playing it, and all the drops are, like, stuff from, like, weapons from the vanilla version of Destiny 2. Mm-hmm. And you're like, I've had this gun drop, like, 1,000 times for me. It's not interesting. They need to, like, phase out those, like, do what the Taken King did, where all the old weapons from the previous year got phased out, and suddenly we had all these new weapons, and they need to like bring back the vendors. Like, I think I talked about this in my video about Shadowkeep.
It's following that same path as Destiny 1, where like, you know, Forsaken was, you know, this like insane game changer, much like Taken King was. And then what was the year 3? It was like Rise of Iron,
yeah.
Which was fine and cool, but it was also like not as big as Forsaken, which is kind of what Shadowkeep is. It's like, it's cool. It's, you know, there's like a new area and stuff, and they've added some things, but it's also not like, here's another Forsaken or Taken King level patch, basically.
Yeah, which, I mean, I was fine with. I liked Rise of Iron, and I like Shadowkeep. The thing is, they were like, Rise of Iron was very clearly a, like, this will hold you over until Destiny 2 is ready, sort of a thing. Whereas we don't know that that's the case with what we have right now. But they're doing a better job now of, like, here's a new thing, and here's a new thing the next week after that. And in, like, a couple weeks, we're going to have a new season where new stuff is going to go on. So they're doing better with that. So just like the week after week, like you had to be there, come back and play this now while it's here because it'll be gone in like a week or two. That sort of thing is definitely better now than it was before. But yeah, some of the bigger things need to change. Like they did it with armor. That was obviously where they were focusing, and that needed to happen probably more so than weapons. I mean, obviously more than weapons, but they still have problems where they've like added these pinnacle weapons like Mountaintop and Recluse, which are like still too powerful. And they didn't really nerf them enough to make them not like still the best weapons that everyone uses all the time. And there's not really a good way to do that without nerfing the class that they are, which would ruin all SMGs and grenade launchers. So they kind of like back themselves into a corner, and like making a Destiny 3 would be a way to get out of that corner. You know what I mean?
They need a new engine is the thing. Like I was so sure that Destiny 2 was gonna be this like new engine where they built in all these things they couldn't do in Destiny 1. The back end was gonna be so much more configurable. Yeah. And then, you know, who knows what happened behind the scenes, but it ended up being basically the same engine. I mean, like,
it was updated. Yeah, there were those rumors that like they were having a lot of trouble with it, and that's why updates and fixes to things were taking so long.
I don't know, man. I just like they got to change something. I feel like I'm trying to like on the spot figure out exactly what I want them to do, but I don't know. I mean, if
you
it was
got
that
it
easy,
right
I guess
on
they
the
would have
tip of
done
your
it.
tongue. What is that one thing that would fix everything?
I want it to look different, I guess. I want it to not be what it is right now.
Like which part? Like the visuals, you mean?
I don't know.
Like the way the supers work and everything?
I'm not sure like what I want, but I want it to be like they're going in the right direction. Remember how in Destiny 1 there was that giant page of basically perks that you were slowly unlocking and you could customize your person? Now they have sort of nodes. They have like a node-based thing. But like, I don't know what I want. I want it to visibly be a different engine, you know?
Yeah.
In some way. I don't want it to look exactly like Destiny 1
Like when they go to
2.
Destiny 3, you don't want it to be like, well, if I didn't see the title on this, I would have thought it was Destiny 2 still.
Yes. I'm not asking for a different art style specifically, but I'm trying to think of a good example. Like Doom 3 was an okay game. It had faults. You couldn't hold the flashlight and a gun at the same time, but it was like a decent game. But then like Doom 2016 came out, and that's like very obviously a step in the right direction of like a very good game. I'm looking for something where you can say Destiny 1 and 2 are great games, but Destiny 3 looks and just plays a little bit. I mean, the gunplay has always been good in Destiny, but I don't know. I'm trying to like form my thoughts, and I'm very tired, and I can't figure out exactly what I'm trying to say.
I wouldn't mind it if they reworked things so there was more of like an RPG style like skill tree that you could work through. And like, here's a crazy thought. What if instead of having multiple subclasses, or not necessarily multiple subclasses, but like multiple supers with the different nodes, if you like could double down on them and like have way more variety to how you could build out like one of the subclasses.
That sounds great to me.
As a big Mass Effect fan, like playing with biotics where you can like, you're literally throwing these crazy powers around. Part of me has always wanted Destiny to be a little bit more like that, where you're either throwing these crazy biotics around or you're more of an engineer and you have these like tech abilities. But I don't want it to just be Mass Effect either. I want it to still be Destiny. So I also don't know what I want out of Destiny 3, but
I don't know, man.
With them talking about it being more of an actual RPG MMO, like I almost think Destiny 3 needs to make some fairly big changes. Just because I want it to be more story driven and to have more like character interaction.
Let's go full Mass Effect. The Destiny 3 is Earth, I don't know, blows up and like all Guardians escape in their own ships. So your ship now becomes your home base, but you can dock with basically like a Citadel type thing. No, the big, what is that thing called? What's that white ball called?
Traveler?
The Traveler opens up and it is a Citadel basically. And
well, we don't know much about the Traveler, to be honest.
They probably don't know much about it either. But like your ship is now like there is a thing where you're driving around. You're not really in orbit anymore. You're going around like Mass Effect style, moving your ship around. Wouldn't that be crazy?
I mean, that's almost what Warframe is, where like you don't really have like a hub area. Well, they probably do now, but like back when I originally played Warframe, instead of having like a big hub area where you ran around and you would like, you throw stuff into your vault and then you would grab some bounties and leave again, you were like in a ship basically, and you would walk around and you could like craft these upgrades and craft new frames and stuff like that, which would basically change your class. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they could do something like that where you like...
That's how they solved the vault thing also, is Earth blows up, that's where your vault is. You just have your ship. I would be totally okay with that.
Yeah, and if they like expanded it so your ship was more like the Normandy rather than just like a one-person thing.
Or yeah, what if it's like... Yeah, what if it's not just your ship? What if it's like a Battlestar Galactica type thing where it's all like basically what was who invented the Geth?
The Quarians?
Yeah, what if it's like Quarian type thing wif there's like a mass exodus from
You're
Earth
in like a flotilla?
Reason? Exactly. What if it just is Mass Effect?
What if it was Mass Effect? What if Bungie bought Mass Effect from BioWare and made a real Mass Effect game?
I think we've cracked it.
A real next-gen Mass Effect game, and BioWare was no longer in the picture there. I think that would be great.
I think I just want to play another Mass Effect is what I'm saying. What I'm realizing out of all of this.
I mean, yeah, I do as well. And so I actually thought long and hard about this one time. Like I was going for a walk and I was thinking, I was like, you know what the real problem with Destiny is, and their like storytelling problems is, they do a terrible job of making you feel like you're in livable spaces. Mm-hmm. Like that's the huge differentiator between Destiny and Mass Effect. When you're in Mass Effect and you go to the Citadel and you run around, there's so many NPCs and you can talk to a bunch of them. There's just a lot of people, and you look around and you're like, people live here. This looks like a place where people live. When you go to like any of the locations in Mass Effect, there are places where there are people and it looks like people live there. It looks like a real lived in space. Whereas when you go anywhere in Destiny, like pick any of the patrol spaces, it's just wide open blank spaces where there's nothing. There, you're like, okay, I see what you did here. You made a little sandbox for people to shoot stuff in that just respawns immediately. Like nobody lives there. So you're like a guardian who protects people, but I've never seen any evidence that people actually exist in the universe.
I'm telling you, man, you're on a flotilla and you actually like see people moving around and talk. You don't just like literally phase through them like you did in Destiny 1.
Yeah. So they need to do a lot more of that. Like I think they got a little bit better with that with like the Dreaming City. You actually saw like the people that like soldiers there that were like fighting, but I don't know. You need to like, it needs to feel like you're doing something for someone. Cause think of like, the same with Skyrim, right? You go to, what was that place? Whiterun. And there's like people in this town and you talk to them. And as soon as you walk like right out the front gate, there's like enemies that you can fight. But you know, like, okay, I just left those people. Better take care of these bad guys here or they might hurt the people there. I'll be a hero.
It's the other thing about Destiny is all of the NPCs are vendors, you know? There's not just an NPC who's chilling out. Like, oh, there's Richard. He's always hanging out by that giant ball. It's just like, well, this is a new person in the tower. Here are all the quests they can give you, and they can sell you these specific items, you know?
Yeah, and what if the NPCs that you can meet in these spaces where they actually live in like a patrol space could give you what would amount to a bounty, but it's like, hey, I'm struggling to feed my family here. Go kill some enemies, and I don't know, maybe give me a thing once you pick it up there, and then like they'll reward you with like some currency or planetary materials or something, because that would make a lot more sense and would connect you to the world and the universe far better than just going to Zavala and him giving you like get 10 kills with rocket launchers and strikes. You know what I mean? Like that. Yeah. That does nothing for me.
I'll be interested to see. I don't know. If Destiny 3 is still the same engine as Destiny 1 and 2, I don't know, man. This is that same problem we had when they unveiled that like Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 were going to be on the same engine that like the previous Elder Scrolls games were on, where it's just like, I don't want to have to open a door and then look at a game model and just like spin it around for a second in a black void and then be in that house, you know?
Yeah, hopefully that's not what those games end up being.
I would hate that. Like, that would be terrible.
It would be. It would be like the games have not grown in like, what, 10 years? However long it's been?
They need
8 years?
I want upgrade. I know it's like asking a lot to build a new engine from scratch, but like, I don't know, man.
I definitely think they need, especially like next gen. I mean, they're going to be much more powerful, the next gen consoles.
Like, let's go back to Mass Effect. Like, Mass Effect 1 was a great game, but you could definitely tell they changed so much stuff in Mass Effect 2. It felt like a completely different game almost.
It did, yeah. Definitely the combat felt entirely different.
Oh, yeah.
They like changed the way the weapons work. Like you actually reloaded them instead of having them just like cool down.
Heat sinks, yeah.
Yeah.
Even the camera was like tighter, and I felt like the movement was cleaner.
It was, yeah. The movement was much cleaner, and
the
like,
Mako was gone.
Yeah, they got rid of that. So
wait, did they get rid of the Mako? Was that 2 or 3 they got rid of the Mako?
It was 2, but there was like a mission. I think it was like one of the DLCs. They brought back some ship that you could like, that was like half ground vehicle, half air vehicle. It was weird.
I don't know. I would love a complete rework for Destiny 3, but I guess we'll see. We should talk more. We should, you've been playing a lot of games we need to get to.
Yeah, we don't have to talk a lot about Link's Awakening because that's been out a while. I did put out a belated like thoughts / impressions video. I need to come up with something better to call those because they're not like full on reviews, and I don't know if impressions necessarily gets across what I'm trying to do with them. I don't know what else to call them, so I just call them impressions videos. But I did one for Link's Awakening. Did you play this game at all?
Yes. I got all the way to the Eagles Tower, and then I got busy and stopped for a couple of weeks. But I really want to go back to it because I feel like I'm close to the end. Am I close to the end?
You are. Well, I guess it depends on which order you decided to tackle things. And I realized I think I missed one of the dungeons because I think, isn't there like a color dungeon that was added for the DX release or whatever they did of Link's Awakening on Game Boy Color?
I don't know. Maybe I missed that too because I don't know that I've found that.
I don't know where it is, if it's on the map somewhere, but I completed the game regardless. So yeah, you're pretty close. I think that was like the second to last dungeon that I did before I finished the game.
So I just need to hunker down and figure it out. Cause like so the Eagle one is the one where you're like bouncing those balls into pillars to break stuff. And I was having a lot of trouble finding the third pillar.
That was the worst part. Honestly, that they needed to change that dungeon because that was not a fun. That was definitely the worst dungeon. Throwing that ball into the pillars to break them. You have to do that like 2 different times. And it's a little, I had to look up a guide to figure out where I was supposed to go. But otherwise, like, I like the art style a lot. I
love the art style, yeah.
And I like the music and how they updated things without really changing it. But I think because of that, it shouldn't have been $60. I think it should have been like $30 to $40.
Yeah, I agree.
It was overpriced, but it was very good.
What about the Outer Worlds? I have really been wanting to play that. I just have not had time.
Well, this actually, based on what you just said and during our talking about Destiny segment, this is the game for you because it's basically Mass Effect meets Fallout.
Now you're speaking my language.
So yeah, did you? I don't know if you saw my.
I did. I watched it.
Video.
It made me really want to play it, and also it's on Switch. So I feel like why wouldn't I?
I don't know
get
if
it on
it's
Switch?
come out on Switch yet. But
is it not?
I don't know if they were simultaneous releases or not, but it's coming to Switch, and it would be great on Switch. I was surprised at how short it is. Not in like it feels too short, but in a like as someone who played Fire Emblem Three Houses over the summer and did a video where I talked about how you would have to play it 3 or 4 times to see everything that game has to offer. Mm-hmm. That game is way too long. Like, at least right now, I have no desire to play that again because it was so long. But The Outer Worlds is like short enough that I can definitely see myself making multiple playthroughs because it's not such a time commitment.
Like 10 hours?
I mean, I don't remember exactly how long I took. They say like, if you're trying to do everything, it's like a good 30 to 40 hours. But if
that's not bad at all.
But if you're just mainlining the main story, it's probably closer to like 8 to 12, somewhere in there.
Oh, wow.
And I actually ran into a couple of glitches. So if you are playing the game where you're planning to, watch out for 2 things. One of the companions that you can add to your team, Nyoka, I think is her name. I went there and tried to talk to her, and she's supposed to give you a little like side quest, in order, because she's like this alcoholic hunter person, and so she needs to like sober up, and you're supposed to go get some drug that's going to help her do that. But like she asks you to go do it, but then the quest doesn't pop into your quest log, so you can't actually go do it, which means you can't recruit her. And since this is like tied to a main story quest, I was like, I think my playthrough is screwed and I have to start over. But you can actually work around that because you're supposed to meet up with her, team up with her, and then she'll like take you to this place and you guys will like go through this mission at this one location on that particular planet. If you just proceed and go do the mission without her, it counts and it completes. And so you can just continue playing the game without her. And that's what I ended up having to do.
What was the second glitch?
Well, first of all, it is kind of a bummer that you can't add one of the companions because there are like companion quests. So that did limit the amount of quests that I could possibly do. But yeah, the second quest is right at the end, at like the climax of the main storyline. You like go hack a terminal to open a door, and you see a guy you're supposed to talk to standing in front of a camera. And when you go to enter the room to talk to him, as soon as it would do what would be like grab the screen and pull it in so you're in like dialogue now, that like causes the game to just like hard crash.
Oh no.
So there's another workaround to that where if you like go around to a different entrance, you can enter the room on the other side of the room and it doesn't crash for some reason. So that's what I ended up doing.
That's crazy.
It's really weird, but so yeah, there are 2 like pretty big bugs that they need to fix, but there is like a workaround for them so it won't like ruin your playthrough.
What kind of build did you go for?
I went for a hodgepodge. I heard it was really powerful to get. First of all, they have like these science weapons that you can get that are really cool and have these special effects. They're probably the closest thing to like exotic weapons that you can find. And one of them is like a melee hammer that is like crazy powerful, that if you like really spec into melee, you can basically one-shot everything. I did not do that, but that is one thing that I might do next time. But no, I went for... I basically spec'd into intelligence and like engineering and science and charisma because I wanted to like talk through things and like hack stuff.
That sounds like what I want to do, yeah.
Yeah, so I definitely felt like I had an advantage in the early going because I had went that direction, because I was able to like, I had all these speech checks that I was able to clear, and I also had like I could hack stuff and lockpick stuff in order to get through things that would have been like a roadblock otherwise. So I think that's a good way to go.
You've also been playing Luigi's Mansion 3, you were saying. That's something else I want to check out, but I, again, have just like been swamped.
Yeah, I did 2 videos on that now. I was surprised on how long Luigi's Mansion 3 is. There's like 15 floors and 2 like basement level floors.
Mm-hmm.
And basically the way the game is set up, you can't go to the next floor until you've beaten the boss for the previous floor. And they've sort of built an amusement park in layers in like a hotel is what it is. It's like each floor is a different themed land. Like there's, what was it? There was like a desert sort of Egyptian land. There was like a Jurassic Museum land, and there was like a jungle land and like a castle with like knights and swords and shields land. And it's really fun. It's really clever. I thought it had a nice sense of humor to it. I likened it to, what was my comparison? I said it's basically, so if Tim Burton directed a Pixar movie in the Mario Brothers universe.
That sounds great.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I thought the cooperative multiplayer mode was pretty fun too. I don't know if I'm going to keep playing it, but I enjoyed it enough to do a video on it. So I highly recommend it. I don't know where I'm going to rank it at the like end of the year, but I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, that's something I might pick up over Christmas break just to like, I don't know. It feels like something I would totally get into. Something I could play with my girlfriend.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's a great co-op game because you get to play Luigi and she would get to play Gooigi.
That sounds great.
Yeah. And there's also like a competitive mode that's like local only.
Ooh.
Up to like 8 players on the same system. That's called Scream Park. And it's kind of, I feel like they're sort of Mario Party style mini games, but
yeah, that's what it seemed like to me.
But yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. Like you get like a group of people together and play a bunch of stuff. So
I've been playing a game, Zach.
What is it? I'm very curious.
So I don't have a ton of time to do stuff, but I bought that Ring Fit.
Oh, did you?
I did. Me and my girlfriend are doing it to try to get fit.
Tell me about this. I'm very curious. I have only heard very little about this.
It's crazy how strong the ring is, because they really they want you to like stretch it and like jam on it and stuff, but it's really cool. I like it. It's actually a pretty good workout, and you can like test your heart rate with the little IR monitor thing on the Joy-Con, and it opens up pretty regularly. Like pretty much each world they're introducing new things. So like I feel like the first 2 worlds, you're pretty much just like, okay, you run into a thing, do a bunch of exercises until it dies. But I want to say it's the 3rd world. It starts being like, well, these specific exercises are this color, so you need to match them with these bad guys. And then there's just like a whole other, like there's so many, it gets kind of complex, which is fun. And the fact that it like tracks you every time you do it, because again, like I don't have a ton of time to play games, but if I do this like maybe twice a week, it like is tracking it, and it's almost like playing episodic games, because I try to like do one world or like half a world or something, and I come back to it and it's like I'm like seeing my progress.
You almost have to like take it back to a more basic level, because so you're putting a Joy-Con in a little ring.
You're putting one in a ring and one you're strapping to your left leg.
Whoa. And
it's crazy like how it's like pretty good fidelity as far as the tracking, like because as you like jog in place to move forward, and like you really like the level at which you're jogging, that is how fast you're going. And like you're moving the ring around to like, if you pull on it, you can like suck stuff up. And if you push on it, then you like shoot out a gust of air, which like if you aim down, you shoot up into the air. So you can like jump over things. But like, it's crazy. It does feel like 1-to-1 when you're moving the ring around and like sucking stuff up and pushing things. And like, at the end of every level, you do like a victory pose thing where you like start down and then you go all the way up, and it's like, I don't know, I really like it. It's very engaging.
Is this themed to like a Nintendo property at all, or is this just like generic?
Generic. Although I did hear that it's made in the Breath of the Wild engine.
Really? That's interesting.
But it is just super generic. It's literally, the story is like you find the ring and he's like, hey, you're new here. This is what's going on. And you have just like come into this land. And basically the story is like this dragon, this super ripped dragon, was trapped in this ring for a super long time. And then he busts out, and then you in the ring have to basically get him again because he works out so much. It makes people evil.
Yeah, this sounds vaguely similar back when Kinect on the 360 was a thing. I had this workout game that I cannot remember the name of. And it would obviously it was use the camera to watch you and your movements. And it would be able to identify whether you were doing a workout correctly. So it would sort of help you with form. And it would have all these different workout programs that you could do. It actually worked really well. I got good workouts out of it. So I was always impressed with video games' ability to create a workout routine.
And you can tailor it pretty well. You kind of calibrate it, and then they're like, well, this is what we think your difficulty should be, but do you want to go for a hard workout or kind of a light workout? And then you can change that at any time.
Do you need a lot of space to play this?
I would say yes, because you are some of the things you're waving around, and there is a warning at the beginning, make sure if your feet are planted, if you move your arms around, you're not touching anything, which thankfully I have some space in front of my TV, but yeah, this is not a thing you can play standing in front of your computer probably, or in a computer chair.
Okay, I was curious about that.
You definitely need some space.
Yeah, but that's cool. That gives me one other thing that I should look into for sure.
It is $80.
Is it really? Oh, because you have to buy the ring. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little expensive, but...
Does the ring feel durable? It's...
Oh, yeah. It feels crazy durable. I don't know what it's made of, but it's because one of the things you do is after you do an exercise, it's okay, they're going to attack you. It's time for ab guard, where basically you turn the ring on its side and kind of just press it against your abs, and you can I squeeze down on that thing, and it does not feel it always pops back into place. It is durable.
That's good. If you're going to spend that much on it, hopefully it's durable.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, coming out this Friday is Death Stranding. We're both going to try to play that this weekend, and hopefully we'll be able to do a podcast about it next week. And then next Friday, so Friday after this Friday, is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and Pokemon Sword and Shield. Do you think you'll play either of those?
I'll get Pokemon Sword and Shield for sure, but I probably will just watch my girlfriend play it. I don't know about Fallen Order. It looks cool to me, but I'm wondering if I'm just going to be finishing up Death Stranding or not.
I was going to say, I'm very cautiously optimistic about Fallen Order. I'm not super hot on it, but because it is an EA game and I have, what is that service called?
EA Play?
I forget the name of it. It's tied to Origin. It's Origin Premiere or something like that. I forget what it's called, but I will be able to download that and play it without paying for it. So I probably will. And then, yeah, I'll definitely play Pokemon Sword and Shield. So we can definitely talk about those games. I don't know. I really don't know if I'm going to enjoy Star Wars or not.
Why not?
Because it looks... The combat kind of doesn't look that interesting to me, to be honest. Because it is sort of vaguely Dark Souls-y in that it's a little bit slower and it involves a lot of dodging and rolling. But the thing is, you're holding a lightsaber. And so I've seen video of the main character going up against one of those droids from Rogue One. I forget, K2SO, I think was his name. And if this was really the Star Wars universe and you were holding a lightsaber and one of those robots came at you, and if you just swiped at its arm and its leg, you're done. Game over for the droid. But that, because this is a game, that's not how it can work. They have to so you're swiping and hitting it, and you're just sort of leaving a little burn line across it. And it's just, it's kind of one of those weird things, a little bit The Division, where you're shooting a dude in a t-shirt with 60 bullets and it's just not killing him. It is taken out of the experience after a while. But I don't know, maybe once I play it I'll feel differently about it, because I've heard that it's also a little Mass Effect-y in that you have like a ship where you can go in and you can like sort of go to different planets and you can sort of pick and choose which you want to go to first. And when you get there, you can you'll take on all these missions or whatever. So it sounds like that kind of thing is maybe a little more up my alley. I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it as much as other people. But anyway, do you have any parting wisdom for us?
Airbnb is a great service, and if you're going somewhere, don't stay at a hotel. Always look for Airbnbs.
That is pretty good advice, yes.
Also, heated blankets are great.
You have a heated blanket now?
I got a heated blanket for the winter, and let me tell you, it's a game changer. Like, I can put my AC at like 60-something degrees to save electricity and get into bed, and it feels amazing.
I do like it to be cold when I'm going to sleep. I would rather be cold and try to stay warm under covers than be hot.
I'm telling you, man, it's changed my life.
Well, maybe I'll ask for one for Christmas, along with that Ring Fit game.
Yeah, man.
But anyway, follow us on Twitter at Starside Cafe. Follow our Instagram. I think it's just Starside Cafe.
I think it is, yeah.
Every now and then I'll post some video on there of something I've been playing, but yeah, go check out our YouTube channel. There's videos up about Luigi's Mansion 3 and The Outer Worlds. If you're interested in those games, if you've been playing those games, tell us about it. Send us an email at starsidecafe@gmail.com, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Get ready for some Death Stranding coverage next week or the week after when we finish it.
Very exciting.
But yeah, we'll see you then.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.